All right, all right, everybody. Welcome to Hillside Connect. This is going to be episode 3 of our sessions, right? And today with me here, I have Emily Rogers. Now, Emily Rogers is
Hi, Stephen.
such an amazing person. Emily, I want to welcome you to Hillside Connect.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to join you.
Thank you. Thank you for honoring my invitation. Um, I cannot thank you any much less, right? So let's just delve into this. You are coming from the lead to lead, right? But before we go
Correct.
there, I want you to tell us about your journey, where you started from that led you to the lead to lead.
Yes, it's probably not an unusual story, but I'm Australian and I married a New Zealander, and we had just got married, and he got moved into Asia for his job. He's a hotelier. And so my career was in human resources, and I had worked at quite senior levels in human resources. And in Hong Kong, I could work easily as a dependent. That wasn't a problem. So I had a great job in Hong Kong in a law firm. And then we got moved to Mumbai, and I had our first daughter. And it was a bit more challenging to work in Mumbai. And then Delhi, I had our second daughter. So I had the opportunity to start doing some coaching when we lived in Delhi in India.
Okay.
And then we got moved to Chongqing, which is way out west in China, biggest city in the world no one's ever heard of. And because of legalities and language barriers, I couldn't work at all. And then we got moved to Taiwan, to Taipei. And I decided all those stages through India and China, I volunteered either with the networking organizations, supporting NGOs, or with the school once my daughter started school.
Right.
I was volunteering my time, but we got to Taipei and I was like, do you know what? I really need to do something more fulfilling, something more meaningful. And so I started job hunting in Taiwan. Everyone speaks English in Taiwan.
Right.
And I thought it would be quite easy. But because of human resources and not being able to read the local legislation, it became a barrier again. So I was like, do you know what? Something else has to happen. And I decided I'd start my own business. I didn't know what it would be at that point, but I decided to start something. So I did a journey of self-discovery and going back to my strengths and working through that. And the outcome was I started a business called Expat Parenting Abroad, where I supported mums moving their families overseas. And it was literally a WhatsApp group support. But more and more, those people were then asking me to support them get careers, restart their careers, or start their own businesses, or refine themselves. And so I did a bit of a rethink in 2022, early 2022, late 2021. And I decided, well, I went and worked with a coach myself. And the first question she asked me was, what have you been doing and what do you want to do? And it was actually, do you know what? Where I'm positioning myself doesn't fit anymore. So I rebranded as the Lead to Lead, and then lent into what I really do and love, which is a transition and leadership coach. So it's a convoluted story, but I don't think it's that unique. I think it happens to a lot of us for different reasons.
Right. I think there are people who may be able to relate with your story, but I still think it's pretty interesting. I mean, the way you have to be relocating from place to place, settling in a different environment. It comes with a whole different level of stress, trying to adapt to the ecosystem. So I think there's a lot,
Yes.
right? It's not just the usual story, like you put it. I mean, I think it's interesting, right? So
Well, I've taken all of that stress and experience and I've brought it into my business now. So that's where I now can show up and serve others, because I've been there, I've done it, and I can now help others do it. So
beautiful.
I'm using that stress and overwhelm.
Very important. I mean, you are literally maximizing all of those experiences you had, right? So,
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
You talk about the second act, right?
Yes. Yes.
I want you to explain that for us. Could you please deconstruct that for us?
Yeah. It's really interesting because I knew what I was talking about when I was helping these people find a new career, find a business, find their new purpose. I knew it was something that happens to everyone, whether you, and it comes with a life event. So getting married, having children, moving states, moving countries, there'll be a life event that happens. And with that life event, your purpose, for want of a better word, I'm using quotation marks, it shifts. And then you go, life doesn't feel right for me anymore. So the second act is actually, I didn't realize it was a phenomenon, but it is actually a thing that we all go through at some point in life. Usually midlife. I think I'm a little bit older than you, Stephen. Usually midlife. Either you've got to the top of your career, you're the pinnacle of your career, and it doesn't feel, you're going, there must be more I can do now. Or you've been an accidental careerist and you've gone, actually, I really want to do something more fulfilling. Or like me, you get forced into a situation where you have to give your career up. Or life events, as I said, something changes in your life that changes it. And so you get to a point where life doesn't feel right. Something's off balance. Something's not there. It's not great. And it shows up in the way you treat yourself and the way you treat the people you love. So it could be you're a little bit snappy with your children, or you're a little bit sarcastic with your husband. Your fuse is a bit shorter than normal. And yeah, that can happen when you're tired. But if you see it happening all the time, or you're overindulging, eating too much chocolate, or having that extra glass of wine, or not exercising because you feel flat, the way you treat yourself or the way you treat the people around you who you love, that's where it will show up that something's not right in your life. And when you can recognize that it's happening repeatedly, that's when you need to find that moment to go, hang on a minute, what's off balance? And just take a step back and reflect on what's going on. And it's usually something in your purpose has shifted. Understanding that and recognizing it, you can then start your second act.
So if I get you clearly, your second act, right, is more of coming to that place of introspection, right, where you begin to figure out that this is not really how you want your life to turn out, right? And you think that life has got to be bigger than this, and you think you have that potential, the capacity to offer more than you are doing, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
You might not know what yet, and we talk through some tips of how you can find that. You might not know exactly what it is you need to do. It's just this uncomfortable feeling inside that shows up in how you treat yourself and the people you love. And so if that's the point where you've got to recognize that something's off balance, I need to rethink this and work out what it is. And for me, it was frustration, because I was giving all my time volunteering, and that's incredibly rewarding, but it wasn't fulfilling for me anymore. I needed something else, and having my own business has been the answer to that. A client I've just been working with who's just finished, she had all these jobs because it fitted with her life as a mother and doing school pickups and things, but they actually weren't her purpose. And so stepping back and understanding that and working out what was her dream role, now she's doing it, living the dream. Everyone's outcome's different. Maybe it is you're working full time, but actually you're neglecting your interests, your creative side, your hobbies, and you want to bring them out more in your life. There's lots of different ways it can play out, but you've got to recognize that the way you're treating yourself or the people you love is an indicator that something's off balance in your life.
I think this is quite an interesting subject, right? And a very sensitive one at that. Because day in, day out, we see people in this kind of condition, and some people are actually stuck with a particular job, right? And they have this feeling of uncertainty, and they don't know if they should give up on what they are currently uncomfortable with, all right? Of course, it's the job that is paying their bills,
Yeah.
but there's this level of discomfort, and they feel like they want to take that leap, they want to take that jump, but they feel uncertain about what the future holds, right? How do you get a person like this to take the leap?
Do you know, there's a couple of steps you need to take, and if you're in a job, if you're in a company and it's just maybe not the right role, then you're in the perfect situation to explore other opportunities. And I'll talk through how you work that out in a second. But what you've just mentioned, just because you're uncomfortable in a career or in a job doesn't mean you have to leave where you are. So you don't have to create financial uncertainty. You can do a secondment, you can do a project, there's lots of things you can do within an organization without having to uplift your whole life. But how do you find that next thing? The first thing is to find your strengths, to reconnect with your strengths and understand them. And I've got a couple of ways that you could go about that. I've got a free download that people can go and get if they want to do it on a paper. But otherwise, there's a what I call the post-it party. So set the scene, put some fantastic music on, no distractions, turn your phone off, either on the wall or on a window with a pack of post-it notes, set a timer for 10 minutes and just put down every skill, experience, everything you can do, every attribute. And the key here is no judgment. Oh, is that really a skill? Oh, but someone else can do that better than me. Oh, should I, maybe I need to study that a bit more. Doesn't matter. Just 10 minutes of a complete brain dump of everything you can do. And then when you've done that 10 minutes, reset the timer, another 10 minutes, and start to group them into themes and pull out the ones that are your true strengths, 2 or 3 true strengths that are yours. And then work out there's 2 questions you need to ask, but that's one way you can find them. As I said, I've got a download you can download, but otherwise do what I do and go for a walk out in the sunshine, in the fresh air, and hold that question in your mind. What are my strengths? And see what comes up for you while you're walking. Again, no AirPods, no phone on, no distractions. Just be with the question, and again, no judgment. But when you work out what those 2 or 3 key strengths are, then there's 2 questions you need to ask yourself. How do I want these strengths to show up in my life? So that will give you a steer of which way you're going to go, but also, how do I want to use these strengths to serve? Whether it's to serve my family, my community, my company, my business, my whatever. How do I want them to show up, and how do I want to use them to serve? And then you start to know which way you want to go.
The steps you're giving right now, right? For most people, and I think this is the case with a lot of people, because of course I'm in the world of people, right? I interact with people on a daily basis, and so for some of these people, the whole concept of purpose, right, is a whole new level. People think that purpose is something that they need to just struggle to figure out, and especially what I find is that organized religion has mystified the idea of purpose. And so people are praying and asking for their purpose. And while I do not condemn them, absolutely not, I still think that there's a better way to go around it, right? So I just want to have.
You are so right, Stephen.
I want to have your take on this.
And you think back to school, people asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? How unfair is that? Because you have no idea.
That's true.
And that's one key thing that I want to highlight, and you've just picked it up, Stephen, is a shift in life will shift your purpose. So when you're answering this question, you're answering it for the next period of time that makes sense. So for me right now, it might be while my children are at school, or if you've just moved countries, for the next 2 years that we live here. Or if your kids are about to start school and you've got, a bit of time, then maybe it's for the next 3 years until they're in full-time schooling, or, whatever the time frame is that makes sense. You're only answering it for that period of time. Don't try and answer for the rest of your life, because nobody has that answer. Nobody can predict. I mean, the pandemic threw everything out the window, for the next period of time that makes sense. 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, what makes sense to you? Answer the question for that period.
So that's almost like, putting that long-term vision into fragments, right? And
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my second guest, right, Leslie, and she mentioned something similar to that, where she said, in her line of duty, her line of work, she's not really concerned about who the person wants to become 5 years from now. She's interested in what you want to become 3 weeks from now. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
because you know when you have you know there are people who are very good at dreaming, and so you have a whole lot of things you want to do for yourself. You want to there's a very tall list of things they want to accomplish, and sometimes it
Yeah.
gets overwhelming. You start to
Yes.
burn out, lose the energy because you're so disturbed. You don't know which one to tackle first and which one to tackle next. Because when you do
Yes.
this, you feel like you are lacking, you know. So, how do you align these things? How do you prioritize that which is important and that which is not?
Yeah. I think the key is to take those strengths, when you work out those 2 or 3 strengths, and then you answer those questions. How do I want them to show up and how do I want to serve? You're looking for that period of time that makes sense for you. Yeah. But then the next bit, it feels a bit bigger, but what is it that you truly want? If these are your strengths for this period of time, what is it that you truly want? What excites you? What ignites that fire in your belly? What is it going to be? And as I said, if you're in a company, you don't have to create financial insecurity to pursue that, because you can do secondments, you can go and do projects, you can, shift departments. There's opportunities. Maybe you're in a corporate career, but actually starting your own business is what it is. Again, you can start it as a side hustle. You don't have to restart everything from the top. So, you've got these opportunities to move yourself in that direction, to start to fulfill that self purpose, for want of a better word, and start to shift in that direction. But as I said, for many people, it is they've been ignoring their interests, their hobbies, and bringing them back into their lives. You don't have to find a day a week. You could find 30 minutes, 15 minutes, blocks of time that make sense for you to shift into this new space. And when you know your strengths and you can answer those 2 questions, then you've got the opportunity to really say, well, this is where I want to go, and this is what makes sense for me.
Now, I want us to roll back a little bit to something you said. I mean, you are a transition coach, right? So
Correct.
I want us to do this. What has been one of the challenges that one that you think is a top challenge when it comes to transitioning from one phase right into another?
Mindset. We have this part of our brain, amygdala, and a wonderful coach, Sunday Bean, taught me. Her name is Amy G. Dalla, and that's how I remember it. Amy G. Dalla, frontal lobe. It's the old fight or flight response. Back in the caveman days, the lion, do we kill him? Do we run? That's the old way it showed up. In today's society, that fight or flight response presents itself as overwhelm, as anxiety, as limiting beliefs, as negative self-talk. It's a chemical reaction in your brain. And so there is nothing you can do to stop that chemical reaction in your brain. It's going to happen all day. Every time you think something, there's an automated response in Amy, in what she wants to say. And if you're thinking about making a shift, she's going to say things like, you're not good enough. You need more experience. There are other people better than you. This is not the right time. You should be focusing on that. You shouldn't be going into this space. This is how she's going to talk to you, because she wants to protect you. She wants to keep you safe. She wants to keep you in a space that she knows, that she understands. And so the biggest challenge is managing that mindset. And so much of the work that I do with my clients is, but is it true? Is what Amy's saying, is that actually true? And 99% of the time, it's not true. And when you go back to, but these are my strengths and I want to use them, then you can answer Amy, say, look, thank you, Amy. I'm okay with this. I'm going to give it a go. And you can actually hear Amy and just quieten it. And one of my clients calls her Priscilla because her sister's name's Amy. So you can call her whatever you like. But it is a chemical reaction. You cannot turn it off, but you have to understand that it's happening because she's trying to protect you, and reframe what she's saying.
Um, just for clarity's sake, right? Is it almost the same thing with what the neural pathways do, right? That you're so
Yeah,
accustomed to this particular pathway that a new one feels like a threat.
correct. Correct. Yeah, you've got it. Exactly. And so she's trying to protect you. She's trying to keep you safe
Okay.
because, oh, what if you get it wrong? What if something doesn't work out? What if you make a mistake? What if someone doesn't like what you do? What if someone's opinion is different? She's trying to protect you from all of that. And unfortunately, if you are looking for something and you go through these steps and you find your strengths and you start to work out what it is, the more you want to shift, the louder she gets too. So it's about being able to hear it and say, no, actually, this is important for these reasons. Or I've got this plan, I'm working through it. It's okay. You have to be able to answer what Amy's saying, because self-doubt, imposter syndrome, all those limiting beliefs, they're real. And it's the amygdala that creates them. And it is a chemical reaction. You can't turn it off, but you can reframe it. You can reposition it.
Wow. So this more takes us into the mindset thing, right?
It does. It does. And when you say what's the biggest challenge, every single one of my clients, it doesn't matter whether it's a promotion they're going for, starting their own business, it doesn't matter what it is, it's doing their hobbies. It is that piece, dealing with that mindset stuff, that is the biggest challenge. And for many people, if they don't get that piece right about their strengths, these are my 2 or 3 strengths,
Yeah.
it will derail them because they haven't got that to fall back on. You've got to have that clarity to be able to deal with the mindset challenges.
Wow. That already sounds like a lot of work to do.
And
Yeah.
none of it is simple. These steps are
Okay.
simple. It's not easy. So if someone's listening to this and they go, oh, wow, it is simple steps,
Right.
but it's not easy. So know that you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to really dig deep. You've got to, get clear on those strengths. So you've got those to rely on, because there will be challenges. Life is a challenge. We are all on a roller coaster.
Right.
And, you've got to be able to dig deep and hold on to, but this is important to me for these reasons, and keep yourself going. So don't feel like it's too much, I'm not going to. It is absolutely worth it to know these are my strengths and these are how I want to use them, because that's how you show up for yourself and for your family and for your friends and for your colleagues. That's what makes you the amazing, unique person you are. Do that piece of work, but it won't always be easy. And so know that in advance, and then you can deal with the setbacks and you can deal with what's going on and you can keep going.
Great. I mean, when you talked about the idea, the fact that what a brain is trying to do is to protect you, right? Because it interprets what you're doing as a risk. And it reminded me of something Jim Rohn said. He said everything in life is risky, right? Sleeping is risky, eating is risky, and if you really want to know how risky life is, you know that you're not going to get out alive. So
It's so true.
pretty interesting. Yeah. So let's just get into this. I mean, our time is almost wrapping up. You have office services that you offer to your clients, right? How does anybody wanting to reach out to you get to you? What are the services? How do they get in touch with you?
Yep. Before we jump into that though,
Right.
if you are in this space and if you're wanting to do this, there's 3 steps. Find your strengths, work out what it is that you really want. The 3rd step is to take action. Put it in your diary and take action, because it's all well and good to think these things, but if you don't actually do anything, nothing changes. So please, if you are in this space and you're rethinking things, work out your strengths, work out with clarity what it is you want, and then take action. Put it in your diary and prioritize it and make time for it. So sorry about that. I just wanted to finish that up.
No. That was very important. I think for the most part, most people may not really have that intrinsic motivation, right, to take the steps and all of that, which is why I think a coach is very important in this regard, because they sort of help you with that accountability.
You can do it on your own. Absolutely, you can. And you know, you will. I've given you the 3 clear steps. You could do this on your own. But if you want support, if you want accountability, if you want to fast track it without having to do all the tens of thousands of Google searches to find the next step, you know, then working with a coach is an obvious way forward. If anyone wants to start this, then the free download that I mentioned with the strengths assessment is called Empower You Strengths Assessment. Go to the leaptolead.com/guide and you can download that. And then once you're in my website, you'll see my services. For individuals, I do one called the Vision Lab. That's my most popular coaching program, which is working through the 6 steps that will get you from I need to do something different to this is what I'm doing and here's my action plan and I'm moving forward with my life. And that's a 3-month coaching program, and that's my most popular package. But I have online courses as well that people might be interested in, and I work with organizations as well. So I still do the piece when families are moving and support companies who are moving people as well.
I'm definitely going to reach out to you on some of these things, right? Because I'm building a community, right? And so for the most part, we're going to be needing some of these services that you offer, right? So we will be discussing this in detail.
That's brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you, Stephen. And I'm on social. So the Leap to Lead is my handle.
Okay. I'm going to leave your handles in the description once the video goes live.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would definitely love to have this conversation again, right? Our time is so short. I don't know, because I'm trying to make sure that like everybody's okay, convenient with their time and all that. But of course, we can have different episodes where you can come back again, because I would definitely love to host you again.
Brilliant. I'd love to, Stephen. I'd love to. There's so much to cover.
Definitely. I mean, so much that we can consume everything in a 30-minute. So
that's brilliant. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you so much for honoring my invitation. I'm super excited to have you. Right.
Thank you. And thank you to the audience today. It's great.
Right. So here is where we draw the curtains down on today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it like I did. You know, this was an insightful session. Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity, Stephen. It's wonderful to be here.